Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Cannabis.
Legs all the way up to my derriere. I got a face that should be featured up in Mary Claire. I put the song on play and it's very there. There's only one me and I'm very rare. I tell them own it just like Oprah. I ain't playing no controller. Okay, yeah, I got the gas, but no, you can keep the motor. I pull up with the show, put me on a poster. No, put me in the spotlight, let me get that good exposure. Lip gloss is poppin', my J-Star real cute. Got all this ice, you can count each cue. All these diamonds, I call that a clear view. You can see me coming windshield or the rear view. I'm fleek, I'm Gucci, I'm geeked. Pocket tour from my head to my feet. You're retired, expired, have a seat. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm lit, I'm wild and free. Got my freak on like I miss C. You ain't got nothing on me. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Emerald Live Educational Series. This is our fifth one of the series. So exciting. I'm Jill Cohen, the Managing Director of Emerald Live. I hope you were able to enjoy some of the video. I heard there was a little bit of sound issue. I apologize for that. That was one of the famous videos by Laganja Estranja, one of our guests today. So today we'll be discussing sex and cannabis. Cannabis and sex have been deeply intertwined throughout history, from an ancient Chinese aphrodisiac to the free-loving hippies and back to its historical roots as a medicine. There is very little research on cannabis and sex, and the reports that exist are heavily biased and often conflicting. About 1/3 of US women have used marijuana before sex, and those who do report increased desire and better orgasms. Does cannabis do more than make a good thing better? Does cannabis maintain healthy sexual relationships? It's time to separate myth and conjecture from what we really do and don't know about cannabis and sex. Before we get started, I would like to thank our partners, Last Prisoner Project, Toketivity, Cannabis Media, Tribe Tokes Luxury CBD, Theramu CBD Isolate, Garden State Normal, and Hetty, New Jersey. I encourage you all to maximize your networking experience by pasting your LinkedIn profile, Instagram handle, and any information that you would like to share in the chat room. To ask questions, please put them in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. Next up is our industry news by Jimmy Young, founder of Pro Cannabis News, and then a word from our Emerald CEO, Christina DeGiovanni. Jimmy?
Hey, thank you very much, Jill. Appreciate it. I am Jimmy Young, the founder of Pro Cannabis Media, and I'm here with a few news items. We'll call it foreplay for today's webinar. In case you don't know, we produce 5 shows on the cannabis industry, including 6 hours now every week of live cannabis chat on our new Twitch channel. Now, some people think I'm crazy to do this, but as a former sportscaster in New England, I embrace the craziness and ask you that you check us out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv, Pro Cannabis Media. Now, the news headlines from the past month and this past week. 2 states have opened up their medical marijuana operations, Missouri and Virginia. That brings the total of 35 states that now have a medicinal marijuana program in the United States. Now, Vermont became the first state in the country to legalize adult use of cannabis through the legislative process instead of the ballot box. And just in case you hadn't heard, there's a pretty big election coming up in 2 weeks, and there's definitely a pro-cannabis ticket and an anti-cannabis platform. No matter which side, however, that you might prefer, we ask you all who are eligible to please vote and exercise that right. Now, there are 5 states who will be deciding their adult use legalization future. One is New Jersey, where recent polling has that initiative passing by a 3-to-1 margin. Other states are South Dakota, Mississippi, Arizona, and Montana. Now, a current POTUS appointed federal prosecutor named Kurt Alme from Montana is now urging his state to consider the risks of legalizing cannabis in Montana. He brings up many of the old standby arguments by prohibitionists, such as the potential for increased car accidents and children harmed by the potentials of using cannabis as a gateway to harder drugs. Now, all of these age-old arguments have been refuted by science, research, and the experiences of Colorado and Washington state. Meanwhile, a top advisor to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says legalization of adult use cannabis will once again be introduced to the state budget in January of 2021. The goal is to have an adult use cannabis reform program ready to go by April of 2021. Now, in some international cannabis news, results are still being tabulated in New Zealand, where that country voted on legalization over the past weekend. In Europe, however, Italy has recently classified CBD as a narcotic. Now, there's a bit of an issue in that country because a member of the Agriculture Ministry allows hemp for extraction uses and classifies that plant as an agricultural product, not a drug. On top of this confusion is the fact that the drug Epidiolex for epilepsy is coming into Italy. So the USA isn't the only country still trying to figure out the benefits of the plant medicine and who's in charge of it. One more story to share with you, and it's about the arrest rate for cannabis offenses in the United States. Yes, they decreased year over year from 2018 to 2019. However, there were still 565,602 arrests for cannabis last year, with just over 500,000 of those arrests for cannabis possession. Amazingly, those arrests were more than the 495,871 arrested for violent crimes last year. Police continue to target people of color for a disproportionate percentage of those arrests. It's a whole new world of weed out there, everybody, but we still have a long way to go. For the Emerald Media Group, I'm Jimmy Young from Pro Cannabis Media.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. I love your news reports. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I am very excited for this panel that we have today that discusses sex and cannabis. I first want to start off by talking about an initiative that Emerald Media is now doing with my bud base. It is called Walk the Walk. It is a collaborative in which we invite all of you to join us along this journey and not just talking the talk, but actually walking the walk with us. We feature a minority-founded business every month, and we share our resources and insight with this industry to help see these companies grow and succeed. Now, without further ado, I want to introduce you to today's moderator, Laura Hamilton. She's fabulous, and she is the founder of Women, Sex, and Cannabis. She proudly advocates for cannabis and women's sexual health. Her mission is to get women talking about their libido issues and menopause, and she's on a quest to get women orgasming thanks to cannabis. And without further ado, Laura, please take the stage.
Why, thank you. Thank you. Hopefully I've unmuted myself correctly this time. Yes, I'm very excited to be here because we are tackling two of my favorite topics. One of them is cannabis and the other one is satisfying your sexual life. And we've got an amazing panel today. I'm going to introduce them and let them tell their story. I'm just going to go down the list. Who's first up here is Keanu Reeves. And she's, if you could just, you have the coolest title in your LinkedIn, doula. Doula is the coolest name for anything ever. So why don't you take us away and tell us how you have come to cannabis and how you're using it.
Great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So I'm the Chief Education Officer at Foria. My entry into the cannabis industry was kind of through a side door. It wasn't something that I intentionally planned to do. But as you said, I'm a doula, which is someone who works with birth, and my background is really in female sexual health and wellness. I'm a somatic sex educator. I do full spectrum